It is time for action to begin in 2024. Manufacturers' Cup then. Here is the first grid of the 2024 Gran Turismo World Series. Starting on pole position on home soil at the Autodromo de Interlagos, it is Igor Fraga. Takuma Sasaki joins him on the front row of the grid with Guy Barbara in the AMG Mercedes third. Next up is former Nations Cup champion Valerio Gallo. It's an all-American third row with Robbie Heck from Mazda spearheading that, just ahead of Dean Helt in the Genesis. Genesis fresh off the back of their podium last year in the World Finals. Callum Roach lines up 7th with Alonso Regalado in the Ferrari 458. Italia in 8th position. Angelo Nostroza, new challenge for him with the Subaru this year. Not working out so far, down in 9th place on the grid. Donovan Parker rounding up the top 10. Nicholas Iriagada is in 11th in the Audi R8, and then Adriano Carrazza botched his qualifying lap in the Toyota Supra, giving himself a lot of work to do. Now, Jimmy, I'll first look at the tyres here. We can see the top five, I should say, starting on the softs.
Yeah, unsurprising, really. If you're Igor Fraga at the head of this field, you want to try and get away as soon as possible. The worst possible thing on these opening laps is to get involved in a fight and lose time. That's how tight the margins are in these races. Towards the back of the field, of course, it's interesting to see it go down as far as 6th to 12th on that hard compounder tyre. So we're going to have two groups at the start of this race. Let's see how it pans out over the course of 30 laps.
Yeah, really keen to see what Adriano Carrazza can do. You wonder whether he may have just gone, for the soft tyre to go and get those on in the early stages, but he's decided to go for the hard, decided to go for the same strategy as everybody else around him, and let's see what he'll be able to do and what kind of progress he'll be able to make up in the field. His best hope, I'm sure, is to try and get himself to the head of the hard compound runners up into 6th place. Anyway, let's stop talking, let's start racing. We're ready to go then. 2024 Gran Turismo World Series is underway here in Montreal as we go green at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Igor Fraga leads the field across the timing line, down in towards the centre S. Sasaki in 2nd, Barbara in 3rd place. No moves being made courtesy of the rolling start, spreading that field out a little bit more. But the run through this left-hander on the run down the Retroposta could give us an opportunity to see some moves being made. Igor Fraga doesn't have the benefit of that slipstream, that hole being punched in the air in front of him, so he'll be a bit down on straight line speed, but he holds his lead for now as we come through to the left of turn 4. It's as you were at the front.
Yeah, difficult to overtake on this first lap. As you say, rolling start just spread the cars a little bit here. But now going into this middle sector, it seems that Gallo in the Honda has closed up onto the back of Guy Barbara ever so slightly, as has Barbara onto Sasaki. So the 2nd, 3rd and 4th very close right now. Already a penalty there for Ariagada. We have to think maybe for some track limits there. Carrazza up into P11. On board now with Valerio Gallo for Team Honda. Great view here of the train in front. Now it's the first lap now. It's just about trying to get into that rhythm as soon as possible. So any sort of weakness right now will just be magnified tenfold with the fact that the cars are all so close together. Coming now down to the last big break of the course. Now it's just all about horsepower up the hill here. Now Gallo's out, Fraga is out front. He'll be giving a tow to Sasaki, Barbara and Gallo, who we are on board with now. Let's see what these cars are like in a straight line.
So on board we ride here then with Gallo as we come to the timing line. He's closing up to the back of Barbara. Barbara in turn is not too far away from Takuma Sasaki. Sasaki is very handy in the straight line in that Porsche. Are we going to see Gallo go for a lunge to the inside when he closes up under braking? Carrazza in at the end of the first lap, the only of the hard job runners to do so. So I wonder if he's going to do an alternate strategy. Is he going to do a 2-stopper here potentially, JB? Get onto the soft tyres and then do 2 stints on them potentially?
Yeah, I'll just have a look over to his rig there. He got onto the soft compound he goes. So he's just going aggressive early. Now he needs to do this. We mentioned this earlier on. He needs to find some way to insert himself in that pack out there. Now what he's done by putting himself in that soft compounder tyre and pitting now is giving himself a massive gap. You can see on the top right hand corner of your screen the track map. That last little arrow there, that's Carrazza. He's got that gap just to drive into. Hopefully, he needs to find that time because he's got to make an extra pit stop as well.
So we see Fraga controlling the field out in front. Half a second the advantage he has over Takuma Sasaki. It's not a comfortable advantage by any stretch of the imagination, but we know that Fraga soaks up the pressure like a sponge. He's doing a fantastic job, as he always does, at the helm of this field. Very rarely does he make mistakes. You can see Dean Helt there, 6th place. He's in. He's got a flashing red light next to his name. That indicates he's picked up a penalty. Whether that's for track limits or for contact, I don't know. I would assume track limits, given the fact we've not seen any other graphics flashing up on the screen indicating that he's got himself into some strife.
The red marker of doom, that one. Then we'll see that next to your name. Meanwhile, Gallo pretty much pushing Guy Barbara along on the straight here, already up the inside there. Now, who has the most horsepower? That AMG is quick in a straight line. As soon as Gallo pulled out on the slipstream there, the car just fell away from him. So this could be a challenge for Gallo. Looks to the inside, late on the brakes goes Valerio Gallo, dives up the inside there, parks it on the apex, defends the corner, up to third goes Valerio Gallo. That is the move of someone who's done that many times before.
Yeah, these guys have raced each other, of course, in the online season, but also they've been racing for a good number of years before that, so they know instinctively how the other driver is going to behave. You just get a set that's sort of sixth sense almost, and Gallo sending it to the inside there, clean, decisive and clear. He needs to now be careful to not get involved in a squabble with Barbara if Barbara tries to retaliate, because it will allow Sasaki and Fraga to clear off into the sunset, essentially.
And these guys, they are going to be looking back now, Fraga and Sasaki. They're going to realise that there has been a change in position. The fight at the back of the field at the moment is absolutely fantastic, by the way. We don't have it on our screens, but 8th, 9th and 10th having a fantastic scrap. We'll stay with Gallo for now, though, at the moment in this third group. Now, the question really remains is, can he now take the gap down between him and Sasaki? I think he's got the pace at the moment.
I think you're absolutely right, and as you say, that score going on further down the order that we were talking about there, that's Dean Howell. He served his penalty last lap, as we saw that flashing red light next to his name, and now he's involved in a squabble with Regalado, Inestrosa, and also Donovan Parker in the mix there as well. Sasaki now beginning to close up, and Gallo bringing himself back into the rhythm, so the 2 becomes a 3 as they come out of that final corner and aim it for the time in line. Lap 3 out of 20, about to begin lap 4 we are. Fraga still soaking up that pressure at the moment from Sasaki. Now you wonder whether Sasaki might try and do an undercut here to get himself past Igor Fraga, go for a lap longer on the softs, but Sasaki a lot of closing speed on the brakes into that first corner. Little bit of a warning sign. You can see further back you've got Robbie Heck now coming under some pressure as well from Guy Barbara, who's dropped back behind the Mazda driver. So it's not been a good couple of laps here for Guy Barbara as he now pops himself into the slipstream of the Mazda. Down the Retroposta we go. In front, we're side by side almost there as Sasaki and Gallo were going pretty much wheel to wheel into turn 4.
That was clever there from Guy Barbara. He could have fought that more and lost more time, but I think he knows the guys in front had the pace over him, so he's basically going to get dragged along, and they're going to keep this pack of 5 cars together, which is important for everyone's racing. Now Gallo has moved right up onto the back of Sasaki after Sasaki's half move on Igor Fraga. He said he might try and undercut him, nearly just moved him into T1 there, so the stewards will have a keen eye on the racing here today. Now, through this middle section, it feels so slow compared to the rest of the circuit. You've got to be patient on that throttle pedal coming out of it, otherwise you start burning those rear tyres, and these soft tyres, they're pretty susceptible to wheel spin. If you get those spinning, you heat them up and you can't really get them back into the window where they once were. So time management is crucial here, but you wouldn't believe it from the way these guys are driving.
Just having a look there, Alonso Regalado picking up a warning for bump drafting. That means he's sort of pushing Caleb Roach along in 6th position, and the stewards don't like that sort of thing. Also, further back, I'm looking at the gap that Karatza had. It was 9 seconds a couple of laps ago. It's now down to 6 seconds. He, of course, is on a quicker combative tyre. He's lapping some 2 seconds faster as Gallo has a half look to the outside there of Sasaki into the first corner. But keep an eye out for that gap with Karatza and Arriagada at the moment. That'll be crucial coming into the latter stages of the race, because he's still got to run that hard combative tyre. My bet is he'll try and do 2 stints now. He's done the hard combative tyre. He did that on the first lap, but he's got to try and make up that deficit because he's doing an extra pit stop. So we'll see how it's all going to work out. Let's have a look here further back. This is Dean Hell. We're on board here with Donovan Parker. He just has a little bit of contact there with Angel Inestrosa as they go side by side down the start-finish straight. Parker's got the outside line. He's got track position down into T1. He goes up into 8th place. And there's a great nose-to-tail battle going on the fringe of the top. And this is all for those important points.
Yeah, as mentioned before, we've sort of got 2 groups running that will come back together when these strategies all converge towards the end of the race. To give you some idea of how that soft tyre is comparing to the hard tyre right now, Karatza has gained about 4 seconds on the car in front since he pitted on that alternative strategy. Karatza down in 12th place with Team Toyota right now. Meanwhile, go back to the action now. Robbie Heck at the moment, the person we were on board with, just ahead of us right now with Guy Barbara. Heck has the fastest lap of anyone in that Mazda, so there is speed in that Mazda, it seems. It's not quite over the course of 1 lap, but all 5 cars still within about a second and a half of each other. So this race is anyone's at this point. Fraga doing, as you said before, a really great job of just sort of driving them around, keeping them there. Meanwhile, Sasaki having to go defensive from Gallo. Gallo looking around the outside now in the NSX. Can he make this stick? Trying the long way around to be on the inside though for this right-hander. It's getting very tight as we go through here. Now Sasaki has the alternative line on the inside and just about stays ahead for now. And look at the gap that's given Fraga instantly.
The problem with Sasaki is he's tighter onto that left-hander. It's compromised his run down this Rd1. He goes for the defensive line, but Gallo's going to pull to the outside here. Sasaki moving over in the braking zone. The stewards are not going to like the look of that. Parks it on the apex of the corner. Again, this is going to compromise his run. Gallo pulls to the inside there as he challenges for second. As we come down into the right-hander, Sasaki's going to have track position here. Is he going to muscle out Gallo as Gallo tries to firm it around the outside in the Honda NSX? Surely Gallo's not going to be able to make this stick, and indeed he can't. Sasaki parks the car on the apex, tries to get the over and under, switch it back on the inside. This is fantastic racing between these two drivers, and Sasaki defending. Gallo tries to send it to the inside, but Sasaki is still there ready and waiting, and all the while they're doing this, Fraga's clearing off out in front.
That was some amazing racing there between Porsche and Honda. Sasaki and Gallo respectively, just showing that you can go wheel to wheel and not have contact. I mean, take note of that F1 at some point if you want to. So going up the hill now to come on to lap 7 of this race here at Interlagos, and Gallo's going to have another look. He's now desperate to get by. He knows he is faster at this stage. Here we are again, back in the draft, back in the slipstream, down towards T1. When he go outside again, he's trying the outside line once again. I don't think he's quite as close as he was. So he's going to try and cut back in. I think what he's trying to do is just put Sasaki off his line a little bit through this complex and get a better run coming down the second straight here, but not quite as close as before. But as you said, all that going on, all those overtake opportunities means that Igor Fraga has now got a little bit of breathing room out front.
Keep an eye out for Guy Barber and Robbie Heck in the background as well, because it's gone from a two-way to a potential four-way fight here as well as they come through the left-hander. That's the trophy these drivers all want to lay their hands on at the end of the season. Just a reminder of the competition format. We've got 12 drivers here. We'll have another new 12 drivers going into Prague later on this year, and then for Tokyo likewise the same thing. All 3 of those drivers for that specific manufacturer will come together as a team of 3, and then we'll have the grand finals taking place later on this season. As we see Iriagada there just picking up a warning for colliding with another car. Fraga 1.3 seconds. The gap has kind of stabilised out in front. Karatsa meanwhile right at the back of the field. He's closed right up to within half a second of Donovan Parker, courtesy of those soft tyres.
So that's actually a bit of a disaster for Karatsa, because now he's back where he started, trying to get through the cars on the slower compounded tyres, but burning his soft tyre at the same time. Saying that, he goes up into P11. So we'll keep an eye on Karatsa down in P11.
2 seconds faster per lap though is Karatsa at the moment, so you imagine he's going to try and make easy work of those drivers in front. But the thing is, like you say, you've still got to run a slower lap time because you're working your way through traffic.
It just depends where you catch him. If you get him on the corner exit, lovely. But if you're trying to catch him for the middle sector where everyone is on one line, you're just wasting the life of that soft compounder tyre, and it can really come back to haunt you as the race goes on. Now, the gap to the front, I'd say that Fraga isn't actually the quickest of this pack at the moment. I'd say he isn't quite the quickest of the 3. Now, here's a replay. Here is Heck and Barbara going down towards T1. What happens here?
Down into the braking zone. Sasaki versus
Gallo again.
Yeah, and then Heck versus Barbara. Barbara tried to send it to the inside. Heck said, no way, and I'm going to hold on to 4th place. You see Barbara right on that rear wing, Heck a little bit wide. Was there a smattering contact maybe through the second part of that corner? They ran side by side down this back straight, and is Heck going to be able to get the advantage with Barbara on the outside there? Barbara's got the inside line. Does he run it a bit deep? Yeah, he does, and Heck is just going to try and close, but Barbara does manage to get himself back into 4th place eventually.
So that was going on while we had that awesome battle with Sasaki and Gallo. So I think nice to go back and see that. We can't unfortunately do 2 things at the same time. Of course, we try our best, but the gap is coming down at the front, down to a second now. So there is speed in this pack. I get the impression that maybe Igor is just sort of controlling this a little bit, maybe just saving the tyres, saving the fuel, taking it nice and easy. Iriagada there does pick up a penalty. So yeah, unfortunately for him, things go from bad to worse. Karatsa getting a warning for colliding with another car. How often have we seen that on our screens?
Yeah, he's not afraid of getting his elbows out, is Rd1 Karatsa. And the thing is, like you say, he's mired in that pack at the moment. He's going to make his way through the traffic. If he's hitting the traffic at the wrong time, even the fact that closing speed might just be that little bit closer as well. As we sit on board here with Valerio Gallo, he's got box office seats to the battle in front with Takuma Sasaki and Igor Fraga. The gap has now come down. It's under a second, so Sasaki's going to be back into slipstreaming range at this point now, and of course Fraga doesn't have the whole big punch in the air in front of him.
Yeah, everyone on the soft compound tyre was quicker than Igor Fraga on that lap, actually, apart from Karatsa, who got caught in traffic. His last lap time, Karatsa on the soft tyre, of 32.1. All these guys are doing 31.0s, so that's the difference of just trying to get through that traffic there. But again, we'll keep an eye on it. So still on board with Valerio Gallo. He's just a bit quicker for this mid-stage. I don't know if he's burning the tyre more, I don't know if his car is better suited to this circuit than the Porsche in front, but he just seems to have that little bit more pace at the moment, but there's just nowhere to go, nowhere to use it.
Well, we'll see what happens here for Valerio Gallo. At the moment, he's driving a really good race because he's in that unfortunate position of having to attack and defend at the same time. So he's got to keep an eye on his mirrors of Guy Barbara behind, but also doesn't want to let Takuma Sasaki get too far out in front at the moment. You can see the gap now visibly coming down for the race lead here with Igor Fraga, half a second. So has he pushed his tyres that little bit too hard too soon? You can look at the front tyres on that Lexus down to 18%, so he's going to have no grip left. Is he going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap to get those soft tyres off? He is. Fraga boxes early at the end of lap 9. That is a bit of a surprise. We're kind of getting to the pit window. You can see another couple of other drivers following him through there. They want to stay as part of that pack, but crucially, Sasaki and Barbara feel okay with their car so far. They're carrying on.
They go on to soft as well, so they're going for the two-stop strategy, and you have to use both compounder tyres, so that's interesting to see that there as we come on now out of the pit lane. Now, as they've gone onto the soft compounder tyre, this overcut from Sasaki I don't think is going to work. These guys are going to be a little bit quicker, well they should be anyway, on their out lap than Sasaki is now, but it'll be interesting to see what the Porsche driver can do in clear air, because as we said, they all moved up into the back, but I'm really surprised by the tyre wear on that Lexus. That was awful compared to the cars around it.
I'll tell you who that might scupper as well is Rd1 Karatsa. We wondered if he was doing a bold, different strategy going for a two-stopper in that race, but if everyone else is doing the same, it kind of negates that advantage, doesn't it?
I think it'll be a free-stopper for him in the end. I think he has to do that. So, but that all started with 1 more second qualifying, just shows you how close it is here in the World Series Manufacturers Cup. 10 laps on the board, 20 to go. We're looking at Igor Fraga, who we believe will be our leader once all is said and done. Sasaki and Guy Barbara opting to stay out for one more lap on their soft tyres. We'll see if they come in now. Barbara actually benefiting, I think, from the tow from Sasaki. I mean, at the moment, these top 5 cars are really not separated by anything. It's anybody's game. We'll always see these guys now peel into the pit lane. Sasaki goes for one more lap, and Guy Barbara dives into the pit lane. So, do you think we're going to see a one-stop attempt for Sasaki?
You see Dean Helm there as well. He's picked up a penalty. It's gone from bad to worse for Genesis, down in 12th position at the moment. Into the pits then comes Guy Barbara. So soft again, like the others around him. And he, as you said, has gone for one lap longer. The advantage for that is that he's going to have 1 lap fresher tyres when everybody else comes into box.
See where he comes out then. You can see the mini-map. Here comes Fraga, here comes Gallo. Barbara is just the other side of that barrier at the moment. Fraga comes out just ahead then of the Australian driver. There is Gallo, Heck then behind. Where has Barbara come out? Oh, he's behind the pack there. So that was definitely the worst decision there to stay out on that tyre. But he is still, importantly, within that slipstream range. And if you're still there, if you're still within the range of that tow, you're still pretty much there in that pack. Now, Karatsa's coming in. The first person to stop goes for his second stop onto a fresh set of those soft tyres. Parker coming off the hard tyre onto the soft as well. So the race starting to get into the strategic elements now. We'll try and keep track of all these pit stops here up on the desk.
Just having a look at the sector times there between Sasaki and Fraga, just to give you an idea of the difference as well. Sasaki 23.1 in sector 1, Fraga 22.7, half a second there and thereabouts quicker than the man in second place who's on the fresher soft compound tyres.
And again, the quickest man on the circuit right now is Robbie Heck in that Mazda. He is the fastest first sector of anyone. Saying that though, Igor Fraga has just done the fastest middle sector of anyone. Will Sasaki stay out again?
nearly 9/10 of a second faster in that second sector was Igor Fraga. He's chomping into that leader. Sasaki then comes into the pit lane then. Where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Is he going to diverge compared to his colleagues around him? I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to do so. If he does, it's going to really cost him quite dearly indeed. Soft tyres onto soft tyres, but crucially, where's he going to emerge in relation to those other four drivers?
So why would he go on to soft tyres a couple of laps later? You're probably asking. Now, this buys him basically a couple more laps on the soft at the end of the race compared to others who will likely have to go to the hards earlier. So let's see. Igor Fraga then leads the race from Valerio Gallo. Where is Sasaki? He comes out, it looks like, behind Guy Barbera. So after all that, Porsche down from second to 5th position. But it's a long race yet, and I think this is a strategic call for the end of the race, but for now, down to P5.
2 laps newer tyres as well, he'll have at the end of this stint, which could prove to pay dividends for him. So he might be playing the long game here to Kima Sasaki, just to try and see whether it works to give him an advantage later on in the race. Meanwhile, further back, Calum Roach there with Alonso Regalado, Angel Enestrosa for company as they come and flick it through that right-hander. You can see Regalado in the Ferrari 458. It's not been a particularly happy hunting ground for him here so far as he flicks it through. He's keeping an eye out for that mirror full of Angel Enestrosa at the moment in the Subaru Impreza, sorry, the Subaru, I should say BRZ, which hasn't particularly been a happy debut for him in that car so far.
Well, I've not seen much of these guys yet. We've been focusing on the pack at the front, but these guys will become a bit more relevant as the race goes on. So it's Roach, Regalado and Enestrosa. As we said before, that Subaru has always been a fairly decent bet if you want to try and predict who's going to win that, of course. Right now it's down in 8th position. Let's look at the tyre life. Very, very good on its rear tyres is that Subaru. But I think it's owing to the fact it's a little bit lighter than the cars around it, but you can see now the downside to it being lighter. It also has less power and just being pulled away from by Regalado and by Roach. Regalado goes to the inside then of the American driver. Can you get the move made into T1? Roach very, very late on the brakes there, keeping Regalado on the alternative line. Now a little bit of him, so here comes Enestrosa sideways as Roach gathers it up. Is Enestrosa going to go around all of them? He's there side by side now, but he's not quite got the power of the BMW as we go now down towards the left-hander. Can he make the move stick? No, I think he's stuck on the inside. Regalado looking there as well. Free wide into the corner down the bottom. Oh my word, they're still haven't finished, Tom.
No, they're still going on for it. I wonder if the stewards might be having a look at Calum Roach there, because he was pretty aggressive on Regalado through that first corner. There was a bit of contact. He just shut the line off. Enestrosa, though, is on the inside now of Regalado as we come up the rise, and he's got the position back ahead of the Peruvian driver. Has a half look there at Roach, but no room at the inn for now as we come running down the hill. No sail action. These are the hard compound runners, so the race is going to come to them a little bit later on. They're doing the worst stint that they have to do in this race early on. They're going to get that out of the way, and then the race will come to them when they've got those soft compound tyres. Will this be a strategy that works out? Well, the problem is, while they're battling amongst one another, they're costing themselves time. So it's costing them time later, effectively, in the race.
I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, we'd love to see a battle here, of course. It's the best part of watching any of these races, but for their actual races themselves, it does cost them time. And again, you're seeing the difference between the cars here. Enestrosa, so fast in the middle, but then can do nothing to defend on the straight. Here comes Regalado, but I imagine Enestrosa is going to try now break him down towards T1. Regalado does move ahead on the outside. Enestrosa holds him though there. Regalado has the inside line. Will there be any more contact as we saw last lap? No, Enestrosa does hold him there for now, but watch him. He'll be a sitting duck down this straight.
Yeah, that Subaru, as we know, not the fastest car in a straight line. Enestrosa knows that, goes for the defensive line then. Regalado in the Ferrari 458, powering his way to the outside. Is he powering his way up into 6th place? Well, Regalado isn't able to get ahead as Enestrosa defends the inside line, but he has a great run through the second part of that corner, and Enestrosa knows that. All the while, up in front, you've got Roach clearing off, a second off into the distance. Side by side we go. Regalado on the outside, Enestrosa on the inside. Fantastic racing here between these two, and it is Enestrosa who manages to retain the position ahead of Regalado for now.
Yeah, but doing so, they're just hemorrhaging time to the cars around them at the moment. Again, great for Roach, as mentioned before. He gets a little bit of breathing. The gap now up to 1 second as Regalado again trying to find a way past the BRZ in the mid-sector. You're not going to find somewhere there for that car. Interestingly, up in the 3rd position, we've had a change of position. Guy Barbera taking the place away from Robbie Heck, and both of them have really fallen down away from Gallo and Fraga. 3 seconds now is the gap between 3rd and 2nd, so it looks like it's now turned into a 2-horse race at the front between two former Nations Cup champions. These two drivers are two of the fastest Gran Turismo drivers we have ever seen, and halfway through the race they're separated by 7/10 of a second, with seemingly Gallo, the chasing driver, a little bit quicker at this stage. Gallo also currently holding the fastest lap of the race, the only man to go underneath 1 minute 30, 1:29.8 the lap from Gallo that has him the fastest lap at the moment.
So Gallo there closing up onto the back. It's become a two-way scrap out in front in this race. Barbara, though, still with Heck breathing down the back of his neck at the moment as they come through the right-hander. Barbara's not going to do anything too rash in terms of his defensive lines through there at the moment, but these three running the lines through there at the moment, but these three running nose to tail. It's upset Sasaki's race as we look here at Barbara. This is the move. Did Heck make a mistake going through the left-hander? It looks like he made a mistake the corner before it. He got himself all out of shape, ran it onto the curb there into the left, and that allowed Guy Barbara to go through as he said thanks very much and got up onto the podium.
I think he's heated those rear tyres up a little bit, Tom. Now, we mentioned that a bit earlier on. He just seems he's having real trouble getting the traction down in that Mazda. Let's watch him again through here. Let's see how he manages the exit this time. We get a nice view from Sasaki there, who actually I think is the biggest victim of all of these guys, choosing to box a couple laps later, and now he's stuck here. He's stuck about 4-5 seconds off the lead, where before he was fighting for it. Now right into the toe again, right into the slipstream, looking around. What's that Porsche like in a straight line? Not quite quick enough to the alongside. Will we see a lane dive? Both of them moving in the braking zone there. Sasaki looking up the inside. Will Heck defend? He's got by him there. Heck now has the inside line. Will he drive him to the curb? No, straight around the outside goes Sasaki. That was a confident move, Tom.
Love that from Takuma Sasaki, and he needs to do that because he can see his chances of victory slipping through his fingers. He wants to get onto the podium, wants to get those points back as well, does Takuma Sasaki. 4 points awarded for third place, 3 points awarded for fourth place, and that could be critical at the end of the season. Inestrosa off the hard tyres, finally for him, goes onto the soft compound of tyres. Where's he going to emerge? There's Dean Helt just to his right hand side in the Genesis. Helt, of course, on an alternative strategy, so will it give Inestrosa a little bit of clear air if he's able to get himself ahead of the Genesis driver? That will be the best case scenario for the Chilean.
I think honestly for Subaru and Inestrosa, this race could have gone a bit better for those guys so far. They've been caught up in a lot of battles. The pace hasn't been that good on the hard compound of tyres. It's going to really take a lot to catch these guys in the front. The pace in the front now is fantastic. A 30.2 last lap from Gallo, 30.4 last lap from Igor Fraga, faster than anyone else in the field at the moment. And I've got a feeling we're going to have a showdown here very soon between these two titans, Lexus and Honda. Fraga and Gallo, as we come on now to lap 17 of 30. We're in the tow on board with Valerio Gallo, who actually interestingly pulls out of the tow there. Now why would he do that?
I wonder if he's just trying to keep his powder dry for now, just not wanting to show his cards too soon. Sure, he could go for a lunge on the inside, but he could also cost himself a lot more than he's set to gain there. Just saw a snap of oversteer mid-corner for the Honda driver, so he's certainly pushing on. He's not like he's driving well within his limits, but yeah, I just wonder if he's just waiting for the right opportunity to strike later in the race, maybe.
He lost a chunk of time there, about half a second there to Fraga through T1, so that just shows you one mistake cost you quite a bit of time here.
Takuma Sasaki there needs a little bit of a booster cushion, doesn't he? You can barely see the steering wheel from that camera angle at the moment.
As a fellow short king, don't be calling him out like that, alright? Don't be calling him out.
To be
like
fair,
that.
I was waiting for you to make a reference to that. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? Takuma Sasaki then right in the wheel tracks here of Guy Barbara over the rise. And the thing is, Sasaki will know that he has an opportunity of victory and he doesn't want to let that slip through his fingers. Maybe a podium is the best opportunity, but he'll still be angrier than a mosquito in a mannequin factory if he's not able to maximise the potential for Porsche here this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's just being held up by Guy Barbara. Now, the question really remains, one, can he get by Guy Barbara? I think he can. I think he's got the pace. I think he's got the racecraft to make that move if he can get there. But then, can he then move on to the back of Gallo and Fraga? The gap between them now is a good 4 seconds between Sasaki and Igor Fraga, the leader. Now, interesting, look at the tyres here. Gallo has really pushed on this stint. Those rear tyres looking pretty second hand, and we did see him have a couple of slides. That is only going to get worse.
Sasaki then pulls to the inside here of Guy Barbara. Does he make the move this time around? Down the start-finish straight we go, into the centre edge, decisive, clean and confident from Takuma Sasaki as he elevates himself now back up once again onto the podium here for TAG Heuer Porsche. Now, does Guy Barbara have anything left in his locker to try and retaliate? Out of turn 3, a flash of the lights to try and distract Sasaki in the mirror, but Sasaki's got track position, he's got more grip underneath him, and he's got third place as we head down into the left-hander. of turn 4 as well. So now, next target, close the gap down to the leaders.
Yeah, Suzuki now has got to use this pace he has. He cannot afford to fight with Guy Barbara at all. He's already lost a chunk of time. The gap is down to 3.2 seconds at the moment, so we're getting quicker, but still a little way to go.
0.3 of a second faster was Sasaki on that lap last time around than Gallo and Fraga as well. So that is just the sort of carrot that Sasaki needs dangled in front of him at the moment. It is not over for Porsche and for Takuma Sasaki. Up through into the right-hander we go, and you can see him visibly there. A lot of confidence and a lot of pace. And this is going to really come to him, I'm sure, in the latter stages of this one.
Yeah, like a cork out of a bottle there. He's really turned up the wick already. Through that middle sector, he was nearly half a second faster than Igor Fraga. So I don't think this race is over yet for Sasaki and Team Porsche. We've seen Gallo struggling on tyres. We've seen Fraga doesn't quite have the ultimate pace. So this is still far from over. Coming on to lap 19 there, Igor Fraga leading by only 0.3 of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo in Honda. Robbie Heck coming into the pits there fairly early for that second stop there for Team Mazda.
We saw him spinning up his rear tyres a few laps ago, didn't we? So if he's only into those tyres, he's used up the best of its life, then there's a good possibility that it's just high on tyre wear at this particular circuit, that Mazda. So maybe Robbie Heck's chance of a podium, maybe even a top 5 potentially off the cards, because Karatza's closed right up. He's in 6th place now. He's chopped off that gap by about 5 seconds over the last 5 laps as well. So Karatza on an absolute charge as things stand.
Bear in mind, if Sasaki, third place, get onto the back of these guys, first and second, he has effectively tyres that are a couple of laps younger than the rest of the field, meaning that he'll have to spend a little bit less time on that hard compound of tyre. So something to think about. But also at this point, these two here are just losing time, hand over fist to Sasaki behind them. The gap now down to 2.9 seconds. I think now Valerio Gallo is aware of it. He said, you know what, okay, I'm being caught by the car behind. I can no longer stay here and wait behind Igor Fraga, who is playing the game. You see a little bit slower there on to the last corner. He's trying to back up Gallo in the NSX, but these guys have been racing together for a very long time. They know each other's moves at this point. They know the strengths and weaknesses of the manufacturers they represent. Will we see a move then down in towards T1? They're both coming into the pits actually, so at this point they're going nose to tail into the pits, so it's going to be a straight fight to the end of the race, both onto the hard tyre.
Yeah, I imagine so. Let's see what happens as they come into the box then. Fraga in first, of course, just up the road from Gallo. They're going soft, so they're going to try and do 1 lap on the hard tyre. There's no minimum tyre time. They only have to do a minimum of 1 lap on it. So I wonder whether they're going to make a final stop in this race and try and run that hard tyre for as short as they possibly can. Either way, this is music to the ears of Takuma Sasaki, because it's released those 2 cars out in front. That means he's now in clear air with pace underneath him. He can just make hay whilst the sun shines, run his strategy and hope that this race comes to him in the latter stages, especially given how fast he's been.
I don't know if this is the right move for Gallo going onto that hard compound at the time. And this guy, he knows better than I do for sure at this point, but I just don't foresee that working. Bear in mind though, of course, because as you can see there, the history graph of our tyres being used, you have to use both compound tyres. So Sasaki, Barbara, Fraga as well, and Heck all need to make 1 more stop. At least Gallo, to his credit, doesn't have to stop again. So the question is, can Fraga open up a pit stop's worth of gap in 10 laps?
Well, time will tell. 10 laps left to run here in this grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup. Sasaki it is that leads then. Guy Barbara in second. Then you've got Gallo just behind Igor Fraga. I say just behind. That gap has increased quite a fair bit actually over the course of this outlap, given the fact that they were pretty much nose to tail and you couldn't separate them as they came into the pit lane. It's a much sort of more prominent gap now between those two, as to be expected, because Gallo, of course, is on that hard compound tyre. Now, Guy Barbara comes into the pit lane at the end of lap 20. Where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Is he going to go soft, or is he going to go for and put a hard on? Let's see as we come into the pit lane then. Hard tyres then for Guy Barbara as he exits out of the pits here at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Now, where is he going to emerge in relation to the likes of Fraga and Gallo around him? There is Sasaki. He's away up the road, running nice clear air, nice clean lap times as well. 1:31.2. So those tyres now beginning to fall off a cliff as you can see them coming to the end of their useful shelf life. Barbara onto the hard tyres for what we're expecting to be his last stint in this race.
31.2 isn't terrible. It isn't great, but it isn't terrible. So there is still a little bit of life in that tyre there. But I just wonder how much longer he's going to go, because now it's the gap between himself and Fraga. They both need to use they both need to use a hard compound of tyres. So this, I guess, is the gap unless Sasaki wants to pit again. So maybe Sasaki's played a masterclass here.
Well, let's wait and find out as we come down the back straight, or down the hill, I should say, rather, and then we get to run for the rise up to the timing line. Sasaki doing a good job, but I dare say he's probably going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. We saw him go a lap longer than his fellow competitors in the first stint of this race, and Sasaki, as he comes through, does not come into the pit lane at the end of lap 21, so he's just quite happy to carry on. 31.2 for him last time around. Comes to the time line 31.5, so about 0.3 of a second slower. Now those tyres are beginning to go off, but he's running okay so far.
I'm just keeping an eye on the lap times for those who have opted to go to that hard compounded tyre. We're going to get one from Gallo very soon, coming across the start finish line. He's at 32.4, which is a second, give or take, slower than Sasaki in first. So I really think going to that hard tyre early, wasn't it? I think it's the sort of hard tyre early, wasn't it? I think it's the sort of typical game of the hard tyre is lava here, trying to avoid it. Anyway, here's a replay between Heck and Gallo. I think this is Heck managing to... This is the difference between the tyres here. Look, so much more apex speed there. Heck goes up the inside of Gallo like it's just nothing. And Gallo down into fourth position. So those are the soft tyres right now. They do have to stop again, but Gallo is losing just a ton of time into that pit.
What were we expecting the pit stop lost time to be? About 11 seconds, something along the lines of that. What's Fraga got now? He's got about 6.5 seconds, I would say, there and thereabouts. He's probably got over Valerio Gallo at this stage. He needs to really build on that. How much clear air has he got? 7 seconds up the road in front, so he's doing all right as it stands now, is Igor Fraga. But as you say, Jimmy, he's got to run that final competent time, and that's barring any mistakes. Not that we usually see them from Igor Fraga, but stranger things have happened. There's a lot of pressure in these events. You can see Sasaki's front tyres are going to be crying out for mercy at the sharp end of this race. Surely he's going to have to come into the pits at the end of lap 22.
It's one of his races again, where it's a bit of a slow burn in the middle and all comes alive at the end, as I can see the gaps now starting to come down around the field. Here is Valerio Gallo. He'll be wondering whether he made that right choice going onto that hard compounded tyre. Only time will tell. Sasaki still out front. His lap time of 31.6. Igor Fraga's last lap time of 1:29.6. Easily the fastest lap of the race. Igor Fraga is charging right now in second place for Team Lexus, taken nearly 2 seconds out of Sasaki on that lap alone. So, but he needs to do this. He needs to bring this gap down as much as possible before they both go into that hard compounded tyre and it just turns into a straight fight. So Fraga's got the tyre life, why not just go and burn it?
Well, he needs to extend the advantage over Valerio Gallo as well, because of course Fraga's going to be on the hard compounded tyre. Gallo would have been on that compounded tyre for quite a while, but he needs to make sure that Gallo doesn't leap from him when Fraga makes his final pit stop in this race. There is Sasaki. Surely, again, I've said that for the last 3 laps, he's going to come into the pit lane for this one, but he seems to be quite calm and confident. 1:31.6 for him last time around, so getting gradually slower is the Japanese driver, but nothing doing for him at the moment. What's it down to? 5.5 seconds. It was 7 seconds a couple of laps ago, the gap between Sasaki and Fraga. So I wonder, is this race beginning to fall away from the Japanese driver? Is it coming back into the favour of Igor Fraga in the Lexus? Into the pit lane finally then comes Takuma Sasaki. He had to do that. If he went on for another lap, he would have really cost himself a fair bit of time. So he's going to go on to the hard compound tyre for the final stint in this race is Takuma Sasaki then, and let's see how this is going to play out for him in the Porsche. Fraga is going to go through into the lead, but of course don't forget he's got one more pit stop left to run. Hard tyres then do indeed go on for Sasaki. Out of the pit lane we go. Where is the Japanese driver going to emerge though? He's behind Fraga, but how far behind? That's the question, because Fraga needs another pit stop over him.
But as he come out ahead of Valerio Gallo, that'll be massive for Sasaki if he has, because then that's just again a fight to the end. Here is Sasaki. Where is Gallo? There he is then, side by side. Gallo goes through up into third position. That is a disaster for Sasaki. So Valerio Gallo did barely enough there to hold that position, and now it's these two charging forward. These guys cannot afford to fight whatsoever if they want any chance of catching Fraga when he eventually boxes for that hard compounded tyre. Now him and both Robbie Heck in front, you can see they both are yet to take that soft compounded tyre, but Sasaki is not waiting around, almost pushing Gallo through that middle sector. I don't know. It's a hard one, this. If you have the pace, you want to use the pace, but at the same time, if you're fighting like we saw earlier on, you just end up hemorrhaging time. And Gallo there, you see, struggling with the rear traction of the NSX. As we come down now into a heavy braking zone, left hand to him before we go up the hill. What sort of power does this Porsche have compared to the NSX sideways on exit?
Yeah, sideways there for Sasaki. That's going to cost him a tenth of a second or two. Gallo, of course, does not have the advantage of the slipstream like Sasaki has. We know that Porsche is pretty handy in a straight line. This is absolutely critical for Takuma Sasaki if he wants to take the victory here tonight in the Manufacturers' Cup. He needs to dispose of Valerio Gallo pretty promptly. Down the start finish straight we go into the first corner. Backs off of the throttle. He's going to try and get a lunge and a run down into turn 4. Just wants to sit in the wheel tracks of the Tag Heuer Porsche at the moment. Of the Honda at the moment, I should say. So
here we go then. Go down towards T4 again. Look from the view of the rear spoiler of Gallo, that Porsche menacing in the mirrors for Valerio Gallo, but cool head on the Italian shoulders as we come now through to the middle sector once again. Time running out for Igor Fraga. So the gap now between the leaders and this second contingent of runners on the hard compound tyre is now 11 seconds. I wonder if Fraga has done enough. We'll have to wait and see. I'd love to see the tyres on Fraga's car, how they're holding up right now, but these guys right now just separated by virtually nothing. Sasaki again pushing Gallo through that middle sector. I think Sasaki really has a better car in that part of the circuit.
Yeah, Sasaki's looking pretty handy, as you say, isn't he? The mechanical grip of that Porsche looking pretty good. Keep an eye out for Guy Barbara in the background as well. I wonder if he can try and bring himself into the picture in that AMG. AMG have not won a race since 2019, believe it or not. Long time ago. They've always been there and thereabouts, but they've been the bridesmaid but not the bride on several occasions. Now Sasaki, once again, part 386 of this battle or whatever it is between himself and Valerio Gallo as we come across the timing line once more. We're clubbing into the closing few laps of this race. And Sasaki pulls to the outside as Gallo goes for the defensive line. Down the start finish straight we go into turn 1. Gallo holds firm in third place for now.
So yeah, great by Gallo there just to keep Sasaki behind for now, but again, it's just fighting, but we love to see that. We love to see these fights here in the Gran Turismo World Series. The best drivers in the world in the best machinery squabbling for that grand final trophy. Coming now down again for another lap and running out of time is Sasaki and Gallo. And I think maybe Sasaki is starting just to realise that if I stay here, I'm not going to have any sort of hope of catching Igor Fraga in front. Fraga, though, still out and still doing very competitive lap times, a 30.5 last time around from the Brazilian driver in the Lexus, and the tyres are holding on nicely for him, so I think it'll be a last lap dash for Fraga to bolt on that hard compound tyre. I'm quite surprised you don't have a minimum time for that hard tyre, Tom, honestly.
Well, the thing is, this is exactly the sort of race that Fraga absolutely loves. He loves leading from the front. He loves being able to control it, set the pace, and just run his own race, not getting involved in all the silly little squabbles that happen up and down the field. And that's exactly the sort of circumstances that befallen Igor Fraga so far. At the moment, this is the battle for the podium between Gallo and Sasaki. Once again, Barbara's just dropping off the back of the rest of these drivers as we come down the start finish straight once more. Fraga's lap time now into the 1:30, so he's not quite as quick as he was earlier on, but he's still about half a second to the good of the likes of Gallo and Sasaki around him, even a bit more than that on occasion, as you can see there, up to 1.3, 1.4 seconds on some laps there. So Fraga looking pretty handy, but the tyres now beginning to come to the end of their life.
How about that for consistency? 130.35, 130.53, 130.57, so 400ths between lap times. That is the mark of a professional racing driver. Fraga, of course, the man that can do both fast in sim, fast in real life. Again, coming back to this battle between Sasaki and Gallo, and I don't know. I think they've started to really cost themselves. The gap now between Gallo and Fraga up to nearly 14 seconds. I think Fraga's got the time to basically pit whenever he likes at this point, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that calculation is correct.
It's a bold strategy, isn't it, running on those hard tyres for as long as they have done, but I don't think, as you say, it's going to be one that's going to be working out particularly that well. I don't think Robbie Heck's podium is for sure as well. He's in second position at the moment, but he's 6.8 seconds up the road from these two drivers, so plenty of time for things left to change. If these two start knocking 7 bells out of one another, that might be music to the ears of the American, but for now, he sits in a net second place, but I imagine it's going to be off the podium once it's all been said and done. So Gallo, we ride on board with Sasaki once again, closes up under braking. You've got a Honda versus a Porsche then, mid-engine versus mid-engine. Down the start-finish straight we go once more. 3 laps left to run here at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Gallo once again defending from Sasaki. Sasaki pulling to the outside. Is he going to use the straight line speed? Is he going to make a move? Gallo moves over as we come back into the braking zone. Sasaki not going ahead and not moving up ahead of the Honda driver.
That's the closest he's been coming out of there. I don't know why he didn't go for the move there. I just feel at this point he's being held up and they can be quicker if Sasaki led the train. But the thing is, we're moving in now to the last couple of laps. They're not thinking about working together anymore. They're thinking about position. Igor Fraga out front, seemingly untouchable at the moment, but he's still yet to take his final pit stop. He's going to have to pit on the next lap. So we'll see if that is enough. The big thing to me is, has Robbie Heck done enough to stay ahead of Gallo and Sasaki for Team Mazda? That would be an amazing result for Team Mazda.
It'd be great. I don't think it's going to happen, personally. I'm sorry to not share your enjoying optimism there, Jimmy, but it's a long shot for Robbie Heck at the moment, I'll be honest. But stranger things have happened. We know how quickly the circumstances can change in the GT World Series. Here, though, is Igor Fraga. 8 seconds the advantage he's got over Robbie Heck. He's got a further 7 seconds over Valerio Gallo. We've got 2 laps left to run at the end of this one. When is the Brazilian going to come in to the pit lane? Will it be the end of this lap or will it be next time around? Next time around, I think. Yeah, looks like that.
Collected there. Igor Fraga doesn't look like he's breaking a sweat. Just another day at the races for Fraga in Team Lexus. 8 seconds the gap between now him and Robbie Heck, and 15 seconds the gap between him and Valerio Gallo in P3. Let's ride on board for a bit longer with Igor Fraga, seeing how a master practices his craft. We now go down for the second straight here. Important to get a good exit out of there, and they'll lay it on the brakes, breaking the concrete on the right hand side, their little concrete path, and through the next vector. Now Gallo and Sasaki, part what you say it was, Tom? Part
it's about 4024 now.
That's still going.
I know they've got magnets onto one another. They've been so close to each other for this number of laps. Great racing between the two, great respect. But, yeah, frustrating for Takuma Sasaki, I am sure, because Gallo doing a good job in that Honda to hold on to third place. He was buoyant, full of confidence coming into this weekend, was Gallo. He said that he reckons the Honda has got the pace finally to fight at the front, and a podium in their first event of the season, at the GT World Series events at least, will be a very welcome result for Valerio Gallo if he can pull it off. But at the moment, he's still got Sasaki breathing down his neck. Now is the time we're going to see Igor Fraga coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. He's got to come in and run at least 1 lap on the hard compound of tyre, and I'm fairly sure he's done enough to hold on to his race lead. Such is the pace of this final stint, or second but final stint, I should say, in this race.
There comes Igor Fraga, our leader, into the pit lane. Now, onto that hard compound tyre he will go. Has he done enough to retain the lead of this race? So a hard set of the Michelin slick tyres are being bolted on now to the Lexus. Keep an eye, Robbie Heck having to come in as well to take the hard tyre for himself. Watch the gap, watch the mini-map as well. It looks like Igor Fraga has done absolutely plenty. Here comes Gallo and Sasaki. They are nowhere near Igor Fraga, who's done a magnificent job on his stint there to stay ahead of these two. But now it's going to be a fist fight between Gallo and Sasaki for second place. There is Igor Fraga getting up to speed now, but not quite close enough. So last lap then for Igor Fraga. Gallo and Sasaki behind the gap, 2.4 seconds, a bit less than I thought it was, to be honest. And Robbie Heck, unfortunately, not able to stay out ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, not working at all out there for Robbie Heck, but now it is do or die time here for Takuma Sasaki in the Porsche. He has got to make this move stick on Valerio Gallo, but is he close enough? Gallo, we know he's a master of defensive driving, and he's doing enough at the moment. Sasaki has a look to the inside, into the right-hander, but the door is very firmly shut by Valerio Gallo. Half a lap left to run here in the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final at Montreal. Igor Fraga, here comes Sasaki for the move on the inside against Valerio Gallo. It's a late lunge, and Gallo sweeps it back up and holds firm for second place. One more opportunity left for Sasaki under braking. Gallo's on the inside line, he's got track position. It'll be a drag to the line between these two. It's all about the exit out of around this corner, but what a superlative drive it is from Igor Fraga and his home circuit at Interlagos. He comes to the timing line to win the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final in World Series 1 for Lexus. It's a run to the line for second, and Gallo gets it by just a few hundredths of a second from Takuma Sasaki. Absolutely fantastic racing here in Montreal.
That was a masterclass from Igor Fraga and Team Lexus. And as you said, Tom, he just knows how to win the race from the front. Took it easy, took it in his own pace through that first stint there, and when he had to get the hammer down, he went. Fastest lap for Fraga, pole position, the win as well. Clean sweep for Fraga and Team Lexus, and Sasaki there, I think, maybe ruining a couple of mistakes. I think that could have quite easily gone to Porsche that race as well if the strategy had been different. Great to see Gallo going over there as well, and congratulating Fraga on the victory. Again, I don't understand why we saw the hard tyres so early from Gallo, but it came close at the end. But amazing race from this man. You can't take anything away. That is how you do it here at Gran Turismo.
Superb job from Igor Fraga then to take it.